ruining your future. You're halting your progress. Life is made not to be easy. Not one's life is ever easy. How did you ever think you were ever going to make any progress? You can make this your time. You can take control of the life you want to live. Have the authority to know what you need to change, to know how to change, and then to take action. Have discipline for yourself into progress. Switch your routine. Make your life hard. Difficult situations force you to make improvements, force you to learn, to educate yourself. Prove this to yourself. Make others jealous. Make yourself jealous. You work. Your progress is more important than anything. Stop sabotaging your life, your future, because you have the potential to make it past your fears, past your insecurities. Change your perspective on goals, on achievements. Change your mindset on the progress you're making. Change your mindset on the way you see your routine and how that affects your life, how that affects your future. Your future starts now. Your life starts now. Your journey starts here.
It doesn't get any easier. You just get stronger. If you want to change, don't expect your life to stay the same. Expect it to get harder. Expect it to actually get really, really tough. Tougher than you can even imagine right now. And this is where you can move past the boundaries that used to hold you back, used to hold you by the neck. Now you can move towards the fulfillment that's your future. And this, you see, this is where you can finally feel the satisfaction of your work. This is when you finally get to feel that success. Now is the time for you to step up, stand out, and become the person you need to become. Your future is in your hands, and this is what sets your life up to be worth the potential that you deserve. It doesn't get any easier. You just get stronger. Your power is and always has been the thing that's going to take you towards the life that you have earned. Don't fail yourself. Perseverance is the aspect that takes you towards a future worthy of your strength, worthy of your progress. So take pride in that more than anything. You have, and you always will have this potential to improve, this potential to adapt, and this potential to change. What are you willing to change? How hard are you willing to work? How much do you want to grow? Today, I want you to look in the mirror and see yourself. Look yourself in the eyes and see yourself as a warrior. See yourself as the predator, a lion. Your hair is the mane. It's a mane of protection, a mane of wealth, of intimidation. It's a tool. You understand? Your hands are claws, big, powerful claws, heavy and indestructible. See your eyes as piercing and furious and ready to fight. This is how you can see the change, and this is how you can see how much you need to improve. This is the time. Now is the time. So who are you willing to embody? You gonna be weak like a lamb, or you gonna be powerful like the lion I described to you? Make the decision now before it's too late, before the opportunity is already wasted. This, in the mind, is where it all begins. This is where you can properly transform into the person you never thought you could be. This can be your reality. This can be your future. But you gotta want it to happen. So work day in, work day out, put in the time. See the progress you've made and see how far that gets you, because it's going to take you far. This is where it all starts. Now you can finally succeed. So take today as the opportunity it is and seize it. This is what you've been working for. Go on and receive that.
want to take care of yourself. Make it priority. But many of us just stop dead in our tracks. I don't know what to do. You do know what to do. You got genius in you. Challenge yourself, push yourself, make yourself come up with something. Use your imagination. And what you will find is that you know more than you realize that you know. That you're more creative and more resourceful than you realize that you are. And as you do that, the more you do it, the easier it will become. At first, it's going to be a struggle. And after you get into a certain level of consciousness, you will ask yourself, how is it that I didn't see this before? At the level that I'm managing my business now, they say consciousness is what we are. I literally look at myself and say, how is it that I didn't do this before? Why is it that I couldn't see this before? And the reason that I didn't see it before, because I didn't challenge myself. I didn't put myself out here. See, the reason that most of us go through life never discovering our true greatness, literally walking, breathing corpses, the uncommitted life isn't worth living.
Here's the big challenge of life. You can have more than you've got because you can become more than you are. And of course, the other side of the coin reads, unless you change how you are, you'll always have what you got. Success is something you attract, not something you pursue. Success is looking for a good place to stay. So instead of going after it, you work on yourself. Personal development. See, the major question to ask on the job is not what are you getting? The major question to ask on the job is what are you becoming? See, the big question is not what am I getting paid here? The big question is what am I becoming here? Because true happiness is not contained in what you get. Happiness is contained in what you become.
It's an interesting thing, ladies and gentlemen, that when we put ourselves in a situation where we say we're going to do it, it puts you in another zone where the universe responds to you. When you have that kind of consciousness, see, the universe responds to the man or woman that refuses to be denied. Because that is your commitment. That business that you want, that book you want to write, that dream that you have of controlling your destiny, that is yours. That power to create that and to manifest that, that is yours. That's available to you. But you've got to be willing to stand there and face disappointment, not have support. Feel lonely, doubt yourself sometimes, be rejected again and again and again, become bankrupt if necessary, again and again and again, and refuse to turn around until life gives it up, that whatever is required. If it means that I die, I remember Paul Robeson, here I stand for, I can do no other. And that's how you must be.
The only way it gets better for you is when you get better. Life is like seasons. You cannot change the seasons, but you can change yourself. You can't change the seasons, but you can change yourself. And see, that's how life gets better for you, not by chance, but by change.
It means beginning to say and to see and recognize your alignment and oneness with the universe, and that you are a channel for life to express through. And we short-circuit it with anger, we short-circuit it with fear, we short-circuit it with envy, we short-circuit it by being lazy or apathetic or giving up easily. Why? We say, oh, it's too hard, it's too hard. We don't challenge our spirit. Ladies and gentlemen, there's nothing as powerful as the human spirit. You can't destroy it. You can pervert it, but you can't destroy it. I was reading Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. What a powerful book. I'm reading it now for the 7th time. And he gives so many graphic examples of the power of the human spirit. Something was said one time, when you take a position, it says cowardice asks the question, is it safe? Politics asks the question, is it popular? But conscience or commitment asks the question, is it right? And see, most people rather operate from the first two. Is it safe for me to take this position? I remember when I was a state legislator, I saw guys and women who believed in legislation very strongly, but because the Speaker of the House said, we won't go with that, they backed down. And they felt bad about it. They wouldn't take the position because they didn't want the Speaker of the House to be angry at them. They wanted to be all right with all of the rest of our colleagues. See, it takes a great deal of strong courage and commitment on your part to step out a line. Henry David Thoreau says, if a man doesn't keep pace with his companions, perhaps he's listening to the beat of a different drummer. Let him dance to the music that he hears, however measured or far apart. When you are committed, you're dancing to the beat of a different drummer. Don't expect people to understand you. Don't expect it to make sense to anybody why you've got to do this, why you have got to go, why you leave. This is a good job. I'm going. They pay you well. I'm going. You just a few years from retirement. I'm going. Why? I don't understand. You don't have to. I'm going for me. It means taking a stand. Taking a stand for you. It means delivering. It means coming through. Start again. So what? You fell flat on your face. So what? Start again. Learn from the experience and start again. Don't count yourself out. Don't sentence yourself to a lifetime of being miserable, a lifetime of being broke, a lifetime of being unhealthy, a lifetime of being in a relationship that is no longer fulfilling to you. A lifetime of working on a job that does not bring you satisfaction, that's not giving you the creative urge that you need and that got to have in your life that stimulates you. Don't sentence yourself like that. You are a human being. Don't volunteer your life that way. Your life has too much value to the universe. You've got something to contribute. You've got something to give.
Take full responsibility for what happens to you. It's one of the highest forms of human maturity, accepting full responsibility. It's the day you know you passed from childhood to adulthood, the day you accept full responsibility.
Spiritual self-reflection, to understand who you are and why you are here. And when you understand the depths of that, and you allow yourself to tap into the space of that which is the force, the universal energy, the divine flow, and you do that with a sense of authenticity that only you can, that only your energy can bring, you become untouchable in whatever it is you choose to do. You lose your power when you try to take control of somebody else's energy, because you have no power in any energy field other than that which is your own. And your real job in life is to figure out, how do you master your field? How do you do that? By consistently choosing love, by living in the space of gratitude, and knowing that that power that you feel from time to time comes from a source that is greater than yourself.
When you realize how fast time is going, it should bring a sense of urgency, a sense of focus. Your assignment has an expiration date. Your time on this earth is not unlimited. You can't be distracted by things that are keeping you from your purpose. You don't have time to waste worried about what people think about you. Your time is too valuable to respond to every critic, every negative comment, try to convince people that you really are okay. Those are distractions. Everyone is not going to like you. Everyone's not going to accept you. Quit trying to convince someone to understand you that's determined to misunderstand you. Some people don't want to be for you, and that's okay. You don't need them to fulfill your destiny. But the enemy would love for us to spend time and energy trying to win someone over that's never going to be won over. You have to set your face. The people that need to be for you will be for you. God has already lined up the right people, people that will celebrate you, people that will cheer you on, people that stick with you through thick and thin. But too often, We're trying to convince people to be our friend and convince them to spend time with us. But if someone doesn't see the gift that you are, if they don't recognize your talents, value your friendship, do yourself a favor and move on. No offense, but they are not a part of your destiny. You don't have to play up to people, let them manipulate you, hope that they call. Maybe they'll include you in their group. Oh, the people God has for you don't have to be talked into liking you. You won't be able to keep them away. They'll light up when you walk in the room. They can't wait to spend time with you. They'll go out of their way to do you favors. Now don't waste another minute trying to convince someone to like you, to call you, to come see you. If you have to talk them into it, they are not for you. They are a distraction.
People say you can't change your career at 30, that's when you're meant to be settling down. You can't change your career at 35, you should have had it figured out by then. Oh my God, you're not married at 38? What the hell are you doing with your life? Who comes up with this stuff? I have no idea. But this stuff plagues so many people that I speak to. So many people open up to me and say, Jay, I just don't know how to change. Is it possible? What do you think this guy was before he became who he is? He used to be a PE teacher, right? Sports teacher at a high school. How about her? She was a telemarketer for 2 weeks. How about her? She applied to be a funeral director. Incredible. What happens in society is that we're clouded by the noise of family expectations, the noise of our parents, the noise of our brothers and sisters' expectations. I grew up in a family where you could either be a doctor, a lawyer, or a failure, right? Those were my 3 options. Anything else would just count me as a failure. I would have failed. So basically I failed, right? I'm standing up here in front of you all as a failure. I lived as a monk for 3 years. I committed career suicide. I turned down 2 amazing corporate job offers when I graduated from business school. I shaved my hair, I wore robes, and lived out of a gym locker for 3 years. And I did that because I thought I was going to do something meaningful, help impact the world. And it was one of the best experiences of my life. But more than becoming a monk, what that trained me to do was drop out of the rules. People told me, if you come back in 3 years, you'll never get a job. They told me, if you become a monk, people are going to think you're weird forever. No girl's ever going to talk to you. People told me, they were like, well, when you come back to real life, like, will you even be able to talk English? Like, people were just really weirded out. It's like, okay, I think monks speak English. And there was so much different noise that I was hearing when I made that decision. And the funny thing is, from having not been a monk for 4 years now, I'm in one of the most incredible periods of my life that I can ever imagine. And so much of that is based on the fact that I decided to do something different. So many of the times our expectations are driving us in a certain scenario. We focus so much on life in what we want to be as opposed to who we want to be. Because we've always been told that life and jobs and careers are like boxes and containers. There's only a finite number of options. There is no formula, there is no pattern. If you know what you're passionate about, if you know what you're good at, and you invest in that. People say follow your passions, I say forget that, invest in your passions. If you're passionate about something, go and become the best at it. Go and do a course on it. Go and learn from the best. Go and find a mentor who's going to make you incredible at that trade. Not only will you be criticized and grow, you'll be able to find new things about yourself that you never knew. Don't trade who you are for who you think the world needs. Because the world needs you to be you, and I mean that.
I was a 19-year-old kid, and I was miserable. I was in love with my high school sweetheart. We were that couple that was really annoying. So we went to school together. We signed up for classes together. We shared a U-Haul on the way to school together. We lived in the same dorm together. We walked to class. We walked to breakfast in the morning and walked to class together. We were just joined at the hip, and we were completely crazy infatuated in love. And then halfway through the first year of college, she discovered beer and other boys on the same night, and she cheated. I completely fell apart. I stopped going to class. I barely ate anything, certainly nothing healthy. I stopped studying. I just stopped caring about the world, literally couldn't get out of bed. And I never thought about it until years later at reading changed my life. Because I was still reading. There's one thing that's brought me through everything. And I happened to pick up the school newspaper, and I opened it up, and there was this full-page ad. It was this perfect white sandy beach, turquoise water, big green palm tree. And across the top of the ad, it said, "Escape. Students needed for summertime jobs in the Dominican Republic." So I escaped. I went down there, and one night, my friend Kevin and we hopped into a car after dropping off a client. We were going down this road 85 miles an hour in this car, and the windows were open, and that air was coming in. That amazing humid, if you've been in the Caribbean, that just gorgeous, amazing humid air is coming in. And then we came upon a corner. We take that corner 85 miles an hour, and that corner became the turning point that put my feet on this stage for you today. Kevin grabs the wheel, he goes, "Hold on!" And I brace. And the car starts sliding sideways. And that weird slow motion thing happens. Kevin's gripping the wheel, trying to make the corner, and all of a sudden, smack. When I came to, I looked over, and Kevin is screaming at me, going, "Get out of the car, Brendan, get out of the car!" And I look over, and a whole big chunk of his head is open. So I pull myself out of the windshield of this car, and he's screaming over here, and I stand up eventually on the hood of the car, and I look, and I notice all this blood on me, and I remember just looking down, and that slow motion thing's happening. I just thought, did I even matter? And I start seeing all these images of my life when I'm surrounded by people that I care for. There's a cake in front of me. Here's my friends singing. My mom leading them that goofy song. There's my sister, just swinging and smiling right now. And it makes you wonder, did I love? Did I love openly and honestly and completely? Or did I hold back because that one time I got hurt? And just as I was about to pass out, I noticed a glint, like a sparkle, something shiny, a reflection in the blood going off the hood of the car, and it made me look up. And there was this bright, big, beautiful moon that night. And I just immediately felt this connection, like I knew I was gonna be okay. And I felt like the big guy upstairs reached down to me and handed me life's golden ticket. He reached down and said, "Here you go, kid. You're still alive. You can still love and matter. But now you know the clock is ticking." Mortality, motivation. I got it as a 19-year-old kid. People say, "Why are you so successful?" I'm like, I got mortality motivation when I was 19. That's a blessing. Most people don't get that till they're 60. Don't worry, Kevin and I, we both survived. See, I'm still here. It's okay. I made it. But the one thing that I took away from that entire thing was that moment and those questions. Because I remember them, and I thought about them as I was healing. I was like, what was that about? Why did I feel so unhappy with that moment? Because I thought, in the last moments of life, there must be this transcendence, and I was not happy. And I realized it was because of how I'd been living my life, and I wasn't living to my questions. I knew I got those questions. Did I live? Did I love? Did I matter? And as soon as I got those were the questions I'm going to evaluate myself with at the end of the life, it gave me the power of what my late mentor Wayne Dyer taught, the power of intention. That breath you just took, feel it. What a blessing that is you got that life. What a blessing is you got that breath. That means you still got something inside. You got to work for it. You got to contribute for it. You got to give for it. You got to lead for it. You got to love for it, because you still have something not just in you, you're still here for a reason. And now you just got to earn that blessing.
My parents' biggest frustration was that I was epically lazy, and if they handed out gold medals for being lazy, I would have won, I assure you, hands down. Because even though I was a slightly chubby kid growing up in a morbidly obese family in Tacoma, Washington, I always knew two things about myself. One day I was going to be rich, and I was going to have six-pack abs. Like, those are the two things. That kid that was, jiggling his belly thinking, one day I'm not going to have to suck in my gut, When I left for college, my own mother, who'd always been my biggest cheerleader, quietly assumed I was going to fail. So these two guys that were successful entrepreneurs and bodybuilders happened to walk into a class when I was a teacher. And they were just starting a technology startup, and they said, hey, we need a copywriter. Why don't you come be a copywriter? And so I was just young enough, and just dumb enough, and I went all in. They literally put me in the room with all the computer servers. But starting from there, I knew I could wow people because I was willing to grind it out. And we all have a superpower, and my superpower may be the willingness and ability to endure suffering. I had suffered a lot. I hadn't taken a day off in like 6.5 years because I was so hell-bent to get rich. And then I realized, almost 8.5 years in, I'd finally had enough. I had hit my breaking point from suffering, and I got so mad, and I was so unwilling to do it anymore, and I turned to my partners and I said, I'm completely miserable, I quit. I realized the reason I was living the cliche of money can't buy happiness. Along the way, had become so myopically focused on this promise I'd made to myself as a kid that I never stopped to ask, why do I want to get rich? The questions you ask yourself will determine the course of your life. I had been asking myself, what do I need to do to get rich? And it left me really unhappy. So I changed the question, and I started asking, what would I do and love every day, even if I were failing? Life is too short. This is your one go-round. So what are we going to do? We're going to build a company that's predicated on value. We're going to build a company that's predicated on passion. I started thinking about my mom and my sister, but they were profoundly overweight. I started thinking about my uncle who ate himself to death when I was 12 years old, and how much that scared me, and it made me sad. And it made me sad to see that there were millions, if not more than 1 billion people that were in the same kind of abusive relationship with food that my mom and my sister were. So I said, I don't know if it's a big business, but I know it's a big problem. And that's the problem that we're going to solve. And so we decided to build a totally new kind of company. We started Quest Nutrition in 2010, just as we were coming out of the Great Recession. I was wearing an hairnet and a lab coat every day, and my employees were former gang members, ex-drug dealers, felons. We were in Compton, and we literally told everybody in the neighborhood, I don't care if you've been convicted of a crime. I just want to know if you're willing to bust your ass to change your life. And if you are, you're going to get an interview. And I'm not going to ask for your resume. I don't care about your resume. Your resume tells me where you've been. It doesn't tell me the price you're willing to pay to become somebody new. Every belief that you have is a choice. I choose to believe that human potential is nearly limitless. And this was the belief that changed my life. Because once I realized, so it's not about who you are today. It's about who you want to become and the price you're willing to pay to get there. And I promise you, the day that you're willing to pay any price, you'll achieve what you want to achieve. If you truly believe that human potential is limitless, what do you want to become? And what price are you willing to pay to get there?
Gives you better sex, increases your good cholesterol, gives you more friends, gives you more meaning, engagement, life satisfaction, and happiness. If you have a purpose-driven life, it adds years to your life. You live longer. Let me share 2 stories with you. Story number 1, we're interviewing one of those school teachers. She says, the first year I taught was heaven. The second year I taught was hell. I had 5 boys that second year, and they were incorrigible. And there was one kid in particular. He was impossible. One day, this kid's in the doorway of the classroom, and he's kicking, moving his arms, making noises, and I lost him. She said, I'm ashamed to say these words, but I walked towards that kid with the intention of kicking him. Thank heavens he got up and ran away. I kept walking. I went to the principal's office. I said, this is it. It's him or me. And the principal took the kid out. She said, I felt terrible. So I went to 2 of my colleagues and poured my heart out. And they said to me, you are not the key to every door. And as she said those words, she burst into tears in anger. And we waited a long time. And then she looked up and said, I hated that. Those words, you can't be the key to every door. She said, so I decided to become the key to every door. Instead of pushing disruptive kids away, I began to seek them out. I began to bring them into my world. I read every book I could find. I kept notes. I ran experiments. I kept notes on the experiments. And then she pulled herself up and said, today, I am the key to every door. When there's a disruptive, troubled kid in the school, they say, give her to Miss So-and-so. She seems to know what to do with them. Oh, God. That's a profoundly important story. It's a story of transformative learning. When I have a higher purpose, I find the energy and the courage to go outside my comfort zone. Now, the second story is a lot closer to home. I once had a daughter. She was single. She was living in Washington, D.C. She had reached that point in life where she said, there's not a good man left on the earth. And then she found one, and she got really excited. The relationship grew. And one day our phone rang. She's talking to her mother, and I know what's going on. This guy just dumped her. This daughter is the firstborn child. Many firstborn children share a common characteristic. If they're miserable, they want you to be miserable too. Okay? And she said, I'm coming home this weekend. I said, no. Her mother hangs up and says, you're the father, you go to the airport and pick her up. The next day I go pick her up. She gets in the car and she doesn't say, hello, how are you? She's that no good, dirty, da-da-da-da-da. 5 minutes later, she takes a breath. And I said, are you problem solving or purpose solving? We're finally pulling in the driveway. She takes another breath. I say it again. She says, what are you talking about? And she said, this is the real world. I said, well, this is the real world. I then went in the house. I pull out a sheet of paper out of my file, and it says Robert Quinn, life statement. She looks at it, and then she grows kind of quiet. She looks up and said, when you feel bad, you read this? I said, no. When I feel bad, I rewrite it. It's been rewritten hundreds of times. She said, yeah, I can hardly understand some of this stuff. I said, yeah, it's written to a customized audience, one person. Then the first miracle happened. She said, do you think I could write one of these? I'm sure you can. She went in the bedroom. For a day and a half, she worked on her life statement. The miracle was, I did not have to suffer during that day. She got on the plane. She flew home to D.C. A couple days passed. I get an email. She says, he called me. Oh, this will be interesting. And she says, so I wrote him this letter. And I'm reading this letter that she attached. It's incredibly vulnerable, open, honest. And then at the bottom it says, and my roommate said I can't give this to you. Now that's an interesting thing. Why can't we give this letter to this guy? You don't tell some guy to dump you that, just like a deal. Then she said, what my roommates don't understand is that what he thinks doesn't matter. Whoa, wait a minute. A few days ago, what he thought caused her life to shatter. Now she's saying, what he thinks doesn't matter. She's saying, this is who I really am. Didn't know this a while ago. Now I know it. It doesn't matter what other people think. You see, when you clarify your purpose, you take back your external locus of control where you worry about what other people think, and you take an internal locus. You don't become insensitive. You become centered. You become powerful. Now here's the interesting thing. In the next few months, she began to be promoted. Her career turned. Why? This was a dating breakup. Why is her career?
Uh,